Now today's YouTube video is how to paint some mottled background and also how not to paint one. Let's get started, shall we? Mottled backgrounds is something I love to paint for my wildlife paintings. I'll pop a few pictures up while I'm talking to you now, okay? And you can see from the ones I do, I like it to be kind of set back. Having a mottled background helps to bring the subject forward as well. So trying to choose the right colours for that background is important, but also making it look kind of blurry at the same time. Now all that is down to kind of water drying times, that kind of thing. Also the consistency of the paint, by the way, so you've got to remember that at the same time. So I'm going to go through all the processes with you on how I work on a mottled background. But I think what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to show you on this side how not to paint a mottled background. Now when you look at the masking tape I've got around the edge here, I've got two types. I've got one which is clear and one which is nicely decorated with some little feathers. Now this particular one is washi tape, so basically it's masking tape but low tack. This is the one in question here, look, it's very nice actually, I do like it. However, the only thing I don't like about it is that it's not tacky enough. So I know you don't want to tear the paper when you take the masking tape off, but the problem with this one is that unless you stick it down correctly, you will find that the water will start to lift the masking tape off and also seep underneath the corners. So if your board like mine is on a bit of an angle, then therefore you find the water just drain down right into these corners here and start to lift underneath it. So if you want to finish off with a nice straight bordered edge on there, sometimes it can be tricky. So again, the right masking tape is very, very important. Okay, so I'll quickly brief you on that. So I've put some of the cheaper stuff around the edge there first of all, and this stuff is clear, and this is basically low tack tape, okay? So that's what I tend to use as well, and that's really, really good. It's very sticky though, very sticky. But it's okay for the paper as long as you warm it up with a hairdryer before carefully, very carefully lifting it off. Now, let's make a start. First thing we need is a size 18 brush. You can go whatever size you want to apply the water on there. But I'm just going to apply just the one layer on this side. And I want this to be really, really wet as well. So if I just move that out of the way a minute, you'll be able to see that this is really, really wet. There you go. And it's actually dripping onto my hands here. It's that wet. So you've got to be careful not to put too much water on the paper because that's critical, really is critical. So now I'm going to do the same thing again on this side and I'll show you how I would normally do it, not how I would not do it, like something like that. So what I'm going to do is do the same thing again. I'm going to wet the paper using my size 18 brush. This one, if you're interested, is a Pan Art. Okay, so Pan Art brush. And it's a series 1181. Okay, it's very nice actually, I do like this one. Now, this is where I would normally do it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wet the paper probably 2 or 3 times. I'm going to say 3 times in this case. And take off some of that residual water that you can see as well. Now, the reason why I tend to wet the paper 2 or 3 times on average is because it's going to allow the paper to stay wetter that little bit longer. Okay, it gives you a bit more kind of working time when you're adding those colours onto the paper. So again, let that soak in for probably about half a minute, and then what I need to do is add a further layer over the top, allow that to soak in, and then one more layer. And once that final third layer soaked in a little bit, then I'll start applying the colours, but only when I can really see the texture of this paper, which I can at this level now. So if I push it out of the way again, you can just about see, maybe, just there, look, you can just about see the shine on the paper, and that's perfect. And that's all I need at this present time. There's far too much on there. Let's see what happens, shall we? I'm going to get a size, what's this one? A size 6 brush. And I'm going to start off with some lemon yellow. We'll pop that one in first of all, okay? Lemon yellow. They call me lemon yellow. No, that's not right, is it? That's right. And apply that to the paper. You can obviously use a larger brush than this to apply the washes on the paper. Look how bright that is. Whoa, that's really bright, I know. Wash that out very quickly, then go into the olive green. All right, we'll pop some of that in now. Remember, this is how not to do it. I mean, look at the starburst effect on that. The way that it's just kind of spread out, lovely effects. And some people like it like this, and I do occasionally, by having it really, really wet, to get all this kind of effect as you can see in the water. Consistency of the paint I've got here is all to a milky consistency. So a little bit thicker than water. And that's what I'm working with at the moment, as you can see here. Look at the way that's just pulling up down here. It's far too much water on here. Far too much. Okay. Then I'm going to go for some burnt sienna. I'm going to pop some of that in. This is a little bit thicker. That's just more of a creamy consistency, this one. You can see it's really kind of puddling up down there. Oh, look at that. Oh no, too much water. This is now raw umber. So I'll pop some of that in. And then we've got some Payne's Grey. I'm going mad here. I'm going to go straight into the lamp black as well. Oh dear, state of this. Just put it to one side. Now you can see on the screen, that is really, oh no, it's running all over the place. Where's my kitchen roll? It's running all over the place. That's how wet that is at the moment. It's far too wet, as you can see here, look. And you can see that far too many colours in there. Far too many. I mean, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colours. I tend to kind of go around 3 or 4 colours maximum for background if I can. Sometimes, on the rare occasion, I will add 1 or 2 more extra in there, but on a very rare occasion. Also, don't forget to click on that subscribe button down below, and don't forget that bell icon as well, just so you'll never miss one of my YouTube videos. Okay, well that's got 3 layers of water on there, which is great. That's exactly what I want. So let's add some colour in there now, shall we? So I'll go back to my size 6. You want to use a large brush really if you put a large wash on a big piece of paper. But before I do that, I'll tell you what I'm going to do while that's still soaking in. I'm going to water these paints down a little bit more. And the reason why, I'm only going to use 3 of the colours though, not 5 or 6 or anything like that. The reason why is because of the fact that if it's too thick, it's going to be very, very bright, very intense. So I'm going to go with a lemon yellow first of all. I want this kind of knocked back a little bit. Okay, so lemon yellow. How you apply this is entirely your choice. I'm going to leave gaps in between, here and there, look. Leave a few gaps. You can see it's not quite as strong in places, and that's what I want, so it kind of varies it on the paper really. I'm going to go straight into the olive green now. Now you can see how weaker this is now, much weaker, and this will help it blend a little bit more. Because you've got to remember as well, when you apply the paint to the paper, with the paper obviously being wet, yeah, of course, the wetness of the paper will dilute that paint that little bit more as well. And because it's diluting that paint, come back here you, because it's diluting the paint, you find it can also weaken the strength of the colour. So I'm going to leave gaps in between still on here as well, though. There you go. Now when you're working on the background, you've got to think about where you started first. So I started on the top, for example, so that means that's going to dry the soonest. So kind of maintaining that wet area and those wet edges is very, very important. Another thing as well worth considering when you're working on a mottled background, or any backgrounds in fact, is that very often you find when you're working on a sheet of paper is that it will start to dry around the edges sooner. I always find that around the edges, also around the corners as well. That is about it. I know, as quick and as simple as that. And that is how I would work on a background. Now I'm going to get this a quick dry with a hairdryer, okay. Once it's nice and dry, I'll show you the comparison between the two. Now that's just starting to dry in places. Let me just show you that a minute. You can just see, probably towards the top of the screen here, that's starting to dry around that area there. Now this is the stage where I would say, leave it alone, don't touch it, don't put any more colour on it. Because if you do, this will be what will happen. Okay, let's get my paints back over for you. Let's go for some, of the olive green a minute. I'm going to pop that in here, and you can see that green is not spreading. Let's get some burnt sienna, I don't know, anything will do. And that's not spreading either. The problem is because the paper's still damp, what will happen could cause starburst effects or cauliflower marks, which tends to happen as well. So you can just see when I start to apply this onto the paper now, we're going to get a few little blemishes here and there. In fact, straight away, it's got a bit of a tide line right on the very edge there of this green. So when you're working on a painting on a background like this, you've got to think about the drying times. In other words, once it starts to go off, in other words, the shine starts to go on the paper, don't go back to it. leave it to dry, and if you need to, try and apply another colour over the top. That does not always work, not always, but that's what you can do. But in this case, as I said, unless you want cauliflower marks or little blemishes within that paint, then I'd kind of leave it to one side. The other problem you'll find as well when you've done something like this is that when you try to remove the masking tape, you find that because it's not fully dry, it will bleed underneath, and it's already started doing that. I can just see around here this masking tape is lifted just there. So I don't know if I can zoom into that for you. And you can see the way that paint kind of bubbles up on the edge of that tape there. And you find that applies to quite a few areas because I'm using cheap masking tape around the outside. So there's one messy mottled background. Now that's just about dry, and I use the hairdryer as per usual, but from about a couple of feet away, waving it backward and forward. Okay, remember to don't hold it in one spot, you don't want to burn that paper. I've already started removing this masking tape earlier on, so I can take that one off there. Now, if you find that masking tape tends to, get rid of that bit, tends to stick too hard, what you can do is warm that masking tape up with a hairdryer like this lot. And then very lightly warm it up. Pull away from the painting, because if it does tear the paper, you want it to tear away from the painting when you're working on the background. Okay, that's one piece. I'm going to pull this one off here now. So when you're doing this and you warm it up with a hairdryer, just warm that bit up. Always pull away, because a hairdryer will soften the adhesive within that masking tape or the low tack tape. And you know when it starts to tear the paper, you should start getting little bits of paper on the bottom of the tape here. So I'm really happy with that. That's worked out really, really well. I'm going to move that out of the way now. Now this is that cheap masking tape, okay, the little washi tape. And again, it's not done too bad a job. Sometimes, as I mentioned, it will just bleed underneath of it. It has a little bit there, and we know it has at the top as well though. So when you look at this one, basically what we've got is 6 different colours, and it's one big mess. The colours were too thick, so the paints which I mixed up were far too kind of milky and creamy. This side, what I've done is weakened those paints down, and I've wetted the background 3 times in this case, and then applied the paint on there once that water soaked into that background that little bit. By doing so, that enables you to be able to kind of spend a little bit more time blending those colours, or allowing the colours to blend naturally on the paper. So that's 2 comparisons for you, how I would not do it and how I would kind of paint a mottled background. Now if you fancy learning another technique working with mottled backgrounds, take a look at the link to the right. Okay, I'll see you there.